Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Bridget, are you there for a roll call? Oh, that wasn't. Do we have Bridget here? Do we have the recording clerk?
We do not have Bridget. I know that there is a recording clerk that was online a little earlier, but as far as the roll goes, I can call the roll.
Okay, go ahead, Andrew.
That's fine. Chair Grant Henderson.
Here.
Ed Strobel. Chris Rotello.
Here.
Steve Whitten.
I see him online, but
Steve Whitten.
Steve, you got to come off mute.
Robin Chiarelli. Richard Graves.
Here.
Bob Dennison.
Here.
Noel Norvell.
Here.
Ted Morley. Ted, you here? Roseanne Lovell. I see she's here. Roseanne? She's present. So we'll put her. Kitty McGowan. I see that she's present as well. Deidre Boiling Lewis told me she was not going to make it. Barry Flanagan.
Here.
Norbert McLaughlin.
Here.
James Harrison.
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum.
Sorry, guys, I'm here too. I just couldn't get my mute unmuted. Kitty McGowan.
Okay, we got Kitty.
Hey
Hi,
guys, it's also Steve Whitten. I'm not sure you heard me, but there seemed to be a problem when this is started that it didn't pick up some of us, but I'm here as well.
I've got both of you down as present. Thank you.
Right.
We have a quorum.
I'm assuming everybody has reviewed the minutes from our last meeting, October 7th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Jim makes a move. Ed seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. And again, we do have a quorum. And at this time, I'm going to let everybody know, for those that don't know, that item 6, dock waiver at 625 Southwest 5th Place, has been deferred to next meeting, or we're not quite sure when it'll come up again. So if you are in the audience, whether virtually or physically here, just let you know that item number 6, that dock waiver, has been deferred. Okay, let's move on to the Waterway Crime and Boating Safety Report. We have Sergeant Capano.
Capano?
Sorry about that.
Is this on? Yep.
Yep, you got it.
Okay, so over the past month, we have written 44 citations, 50 warnings. We had 3 burglaries of vessels, one at 321 Sunset Drive, one at 200 East New River, and then another one at 2492 State Road 84, and 2 boating accidents. We've also been doing speed zone enforcement south of Oakland Park, and we have written over the past 30 days, we've written 12 citations just in that area, in addition to what I just
wow.
gave you.
Good. And how was the boat show for you guys? I mean, from what I saw, it was an absolute zoo on the Intercoastal.
It was busy for us on the ICW, but it went well.
Well, no accidents or anything to report of?
No issues whatsoever,
Okay.
yep, other than traffic. Much easier, much easier.
Yeah, that was packed constantly. Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments for the sergeant? Go ahead, Ed. Ed, your microphone.
Can you hear me now? Yes. The new motorized surfboards you've seen around, what is the take on those? What's required? And because they're a motorboat, correct?
It'd be the same requirements as paddleboard, kayak, as far as life jackets and things like that. Yep.
But since they're a motorized vessel, don't they need FL numbers?
That's a good question. I will have to find that out.
And don't they also need life numbers? And can they also, they can't go up on a thing, correct?
Correct.
They have to be settled.
They
in
would
the
still
water.
have to adhere to those rules, of course.
Yeah, so we're
But I-
seeing, we saw one or two last year. In the last week, we've seen at least 50 go by in the new river full blast. The guys that know what they're doing seem safe, but you can tell the newbies they're almost hitting people. They had a big yacht being towed that had to stop.
Hi, I did, well, I'm listening, but I missed the damn, yeah, the battle axe roll call. But I'm gonna,
So yeah, that'd be interesting to see, just FL numbers required, I would assume, and then the fact that they should be going no wake, not full blast down.
Right, and of course, after dark, there's still new navigation lights,
Yeah, I haven't seen one after dark, but there's just been a ton of them since the boat show. I think that must have been the new $10,000 tour everybody got.
Maybe.
I've seen them in the river at sunset, 3 or 4 of them, and they have drones around and they have GoPros, so it looks like they're doing content for whatever for their company. But there was zipping around in the turning basin by the Esplanade.
Yep.
Right at sunset. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much for one of those to not turn and.
Right, especially the people who are new at it. I mean, they're probably the professionals doing the TV or some kind of advertisement, but you could tell the people who are new at it almost hitting people and making tugboat stop and all that. So
Right.
it's something that probably should. I guess hand up. I guess I've got the.
Richard, go ahead. You want to turn on your microphone? You want to turn on your mic? Richard, you want to turn on your microphone? Speak into your microphone.
Yeah, they all have electric motors underneath them, and they've got some type of usually hand control that they run, and obviously they're not really made for intercoastal or the new river.
I looked at a diagram for those, and it doesn't show a motor on it.
It's going to be a small electric motor on them, and they're pretty cool and interesting, but at the same time, they're a power boat, and got to go by the rules of the power boat, so they're going to hurt somebody.
You have
one,
Ed?
No. Thank you, appreciate it.
And I'll get an answer for you.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else for the sergeant before we move on? Okay, thank you, Sergeant. Okay, we'll jump right into item number 5, dot permit 1725 Southeast 8th Street. And I believe we have a Mr. Scott Parker here in the audience. If you want to,
He's here to answer any questions.
okay. Let's go ahead and everybody pull up the waiver or the permit. Does the board have any?
Chairman, with apologies, this is Roseanne Lovell. I had a technical snafu. I am here and hoping that I will be graciously entered as present.
Too late.
Andrew's got you.
You're good.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Parker, you just want to give us a quick rundown? I mean, we obviously see what you're looking at, but I know you're putting in a lift off of a new dock. Do you mind, Andrew, could you direct Mr. Parker to the stand where you can get up and state his name?
Okay. You're good to go. Yep, okay. The name is Scott Parker. The home is owned by myself and my wife. The lift was something that was previously put in or requested by the previous owner. There is no lift. There is a 100-foot concrete dock there with landscaping. There's irrigation system put in already. I do not intend to put a lift in.
Okay. Okay.
Looking to buy a boat if I could afford one. I went to the boat show and everything was either sold or overpriced.
Send Bob an email, he'll get you one.
You bet.
Okay. So are there any questions for Mr. Parker from the board? I mean, it's pretty, Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually had a question I thought that the application was to put a boat lift in. Is that not correct?
That is not correct. That was the previous owner. In the plans of the previous owner, when he put the new dock in, he said he was going to put a boat lift in. There will be no boat lift in, and I did note that on one of the diagrams that I would not be putting a boat lift in.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the application is just for use of the dock then?
Yes, a permit to use the dock.
Or? Okay.
Yeah. And again, you have 100 feet of a new concrete dock there as well.
It looks like you got 100 feet on the backside. That's your property. Then you got 100 feet on the city side, which
Right.
is the typical private use.
That
of
is
public.
correct, but it's interesting to note on the backside, it's a new home. There were no pilings put in. So if I want to tie a boat up there, I'd have to go in and put pilings in.
Yes, but if you stay inside the limits, you don't have to come back to that stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Right.
Not that we don't want to see you again.
Any other comments from the board right now? Okay, let's take it to the public. Is there anybody from the public that has any questions or comments for Mr. Parker? Okay, then back to the board. If there are no other comments or questions, does somebody want to make a motion?
What's the motion for? To allow them to use the thing, or is that what it is?
Allow them to use the dock.
It's for a dock permit via section of the code 8144, private usage of public property.
Make a motion to approve.
I'd second the motion.
Second?
The question though for Andrew, are we doing this for every person on Cordova and everywhere that does this? I thought we only had for extraordinary, like for if they wanted to build a dock, not just for permission to use the seawall.
This is a required process for every home along Cordova that wishes to use the dock space on public property.
8th Street, correct?
And in this case, on 8th Street and a couple other areas. There's probably 40 properties that fall under this code.
Okay.
Okay, so we have
Mhm.
a motion on the floor to approve with a second.
I'll second it.
I think we already have one.
Okay.
So, Bob, did you have something to say, Bob Dennison? You're on mute?
I put my little Zoom hand up as a second, but it didn't work as effectively as I hoped.
Okay. You can take a voice vote on the matter. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those,
Aye.
again, all of those opposed? Okay. It's granted. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate
Thank you.
that. Appreciate your time.
On that one, Norbert made the motion, is that correct?
Norbert made the motion
Okay.
and,
Jimmy second. Thank you.
okay, as dock waiver number 6 has been deferred, I'll move on to item number 7, dock permit 805 Cordova Road, which is Michael Redmond, and I believe we have Jenna from the Chappelle Group. Wonderful.
And just a reminder, if anyone is here on the Zoom call for item number 625 Southwest 5th Place, it's been deferred. You can either stay on the call and listen to the meeting or not.
And again, Andrew deferred until we don't.
There's no date certain on that.
No, not at the time.
Go ahead.
All right, I'm gonna share the screen. All right, hi everybody. My name is Jenna with the Chappelle Group, and I'm presenting this dock permit application for private use of public property abutting waterways on behalf of the applicants Michael and Carolyn Redmond at 805 Cordova Road in Fort Lauderdale. All right, this property is located along Cordova Road, off of Rio Cordova or Lake Juanita. Okay. Here's an aerial of the property from the north side facing south, and you can see the recently installed seawall for the City of Fort Lauderdale's Cordova Road seawall project. And then the same photograph from the southern portion of the property facing north. And here's an aerial view of the property facing west with the new seawall shown. Another aerial view of the property facing north. And then one from the south, giving you all angles of the property. And then here's an aerial view of the property from 2018 showing that Their property is located on the left side of Cordova Road or on the west side. And then on the other side of Cordova, on the east side, they had a fixed dock and a floating dock with a ramp. And here's another aerial view of the property from 2018. And this fixed dock and marginal dock had to be removed for the new seawall to be installed along Cordova Road. Here are our plan sets. This is Exhibit A, required for the permit application, depicting the public swale area just to the west side of the seawall, all along the property, and then the dock area along the east side of the seawall. And as this property is zoned RS8, it requires a 5-foot side yard setback. And here's another aerial view of the property showing the existing 156 linear foot sheet pile seawall that's to remain. And then for the proposed conditions, the applicant is requesting the approval of a composite fixed T-dock in the middle of the property, or in the middle of the property along the seawall, and then 2 floating docks on either side of that wood fixed dock, extending about 60 by 8 feet. And then to access the dock and floating docks, there is a ramp and platform proposed on the western side of the seawall. And here's a cross-sectional view showing that the existing conditions are shown at the top with just the seawall, and then the proposed conditions shown on the bottom with the existing seawall to remain and the proposed fixed docks, and then the ramp and platform on the west side of the seawall. And here's also a cross-sectional view showing the existing seawall and the proposed floating dock. The applicant is requesting this dock permit, and all of the structures and piles will not exceed 30% the width of the waterway. They would like to enjoy and utilize the waterfront access provided along this neighborhood. And the applicant previously had an existing fixed and floating dock that had to be removed due to the City of Fort Lauderdale's Cordova Road seawall project. Here is a landscaping plan that was submitted with the application. It's a typical one for Cordova Road. And then we've also submitted permit applications to the environmental agencies. The United States Army Corps of Engineers has issued a permit, and the county permit is still under review, but they will issue on behalf of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection as well. We have 3 letters of support from the adjacent neighbors, as well as one on the other side of the bridge on the south side. And then here's just a diagram showing the other private use docks within the vicinity that there was a record of. Thank you for your time, and I'll take any questions.
Questions?
Was there an issue with the homeowners association? Was there a letter or something? Did they get that worked out? Is that on this property?
I don't think there's a homeowners association.
It wasn't the homeowners association. I don't know who it was, Andrew.
There was a homeowner who had sent in a letter of recommendations, I suppose you'd call it,
Okay.
this afternoon that I distributed to the board.
Yeah, I remember reading it.
But it was not from the homeowners
It
association.
wasn't, okay. So it's
No.
just one individual. Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
And because of the landscaping issue, if required, we would like to request approval with the condition that there would be a condition within the resolution for the landscaping plan that would be reasonable and acceptable to both the applicant and the city, and we could look into that further in the meantime.
I don't think we have any say on upland anyway, right?
Well, we don't have when you say we don't have a say, Section 8144, subsection 7 speaks to permitted landscaping as the city authorizes. And there was an objection to the landscaping plan, which was brought forward by that citizen and distributed to the board today. And I think that Jen's speaking to that objection
Yes.
and condition in the motion
Okay.
to appease that objection.
Yeah, Chair, if I may, it's Tyler Chappelle.
Yeah, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, just to further on Jenna's comment on that, we did discuss that there's actually an advisory committee that was established for Rio Vista to look at the landscaping plans along Cordova and to work with city staff on coming up with something to kind of beautify that roadway and to make the seawall a little bit blend in better, if you will, with the road. So the template that we were given by city attorney's office and staff is probably going to be updated in the near future for future dock permit requests. And, this letter had come to us from that committee in hopes that, we would be amenable to some revision to that landscape plan, which we obviously are and acknowledge that we would be. So that's just what we wanted to make sure the board understood that in receipt of that letter, we certainly, the applicant as well as future applicants would welcome, any revisions to the landscape plan that they have for that roadway that we can encompass into our applications before this board, with the understanding that, the board is reviewing the docks and any boat lifts or anything that comes before you, and that any landscape improvements or access to those docks would have to go through the city building permit process anyway. And that's probably the more appropriate time that those items would be addressed. But we certainly have no problem with the city having a condition in the resolution that at least acknowledges that there is potential for the landscape plan to be updated and that it could be a condition of the resolution. That's a mouthful, but that's kind of the summary I had for you.
Thank you, Tyler. Go ahead, Barry.
Tyler, did the city ever provide direction as far as getting over the seawall and the ramp or stairs?
Yeah, there was a stair or step detail that we were provided as a template, and we have used that in past applications. I think we actually have that in one of ours. And what Bob Dunkel, the city attorney, has been asking us to do is encompass that Exhibit A that Jenna had in the presentation, showing where the seawall is in relationship to the swale area versus the water, and then encompassing the landscape detail and then our plans into the resolution and the agreement. So there's a separate agreement that's attached to the resolution that the applicant has to sign as well. So that's kind of how that's been handled in the past.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from the board? Steve?
I have one, please, Chair. A quick question. I just, in general, with respect to the Cordova project in general, there obviously was an existing dock here, and when that dock was removed and the work was done, was a representation made to the owners as to what could be put back if there was an existing situation?
Are you asking me or Andrew?
I'm asking anybody who knows, because if we're going to go through this each time, I'm just curious, when you pulled somebody's dock, if there was a representation as to what would be put back or what they could put back after the project was completed.
This is Andrew. There is verbiage in code section 8144, and I think it's included in your backup, which is specific to the option of installing a fixed dock or a floating dock. And there was some minimal direction given as far as the swale area access steps that Tyler described. But yes, there was direction given. It just wasn't template, so to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, let's move it on to the public. Is there anybody from the public that'd like to speak on the matter? Okay, back to the board we go.
I'm making a motion to approve with one condition that they work with the future city landscape plan.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I have a question before we go. Apparently there was one of the docks that we already approved, that they put in land, or one of the houses along there had already put in landscaping down close to the south of this. And then the city required them to remove it. And now with this not being so clear as far as the landscape plan that's attached to the dock that we have to approve, there's obviously it's not very clear on what you're allowed to do in that swale. So it does concern me that we're going to have this going onward if every single person has the same problem with what size, that the Marine Advisory Board is going to tell them what size tree they're going to put and at what location from the street. That's really out of our purview, but it's attached to what we're doing. So, and I would hope that there is clarification soon on, what the landscaping is supposed to be, so we don't have to deal with it, because that's not our thing.
I would definitely agree with that one.
I don't see how we can require them to agree to something that even we don't.
Well, basically I said that they have to work with the future city landscape plan. It basically pushes it out of our venue.
It makes it vague enough.
The city's, and it's upland structure too, which I know in this particular code, we have some say in that, but in reality, we're really here to look at navigation.
The dock.
And the dock, to me, looks fine for navigation. But I know the city wants to do something with landscaping, so it kind of pushes it off to the city, I think. But if anybody has any better wording, please make a motion. I know, yeah, it may delay this for a while for them, but it may come back to us once the city does that, so.
I believe we should approve something. We should not delay this and shelve it for the homeowner.
Correct. I mean,
I'd be happy to seek additional clarification as far as the landscaping
again,
plans.
that's not our purview. I mean, and it's not
For information,
clarified what it needs to be done.
I can do it for informational purposes for the board.
But in the meantime, I agree that we should move forward on this. So,
Yeah. So what was the wording, Ed?
I basically said that I motioned to approve it with the condition that they work with the city on the landscaping plan to make sure it matches the rest of the street. In other words, don't do any landscaping till the city gives you approval to do so.
And I seconded that, so.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Did somebody write that?
Kitty McGowan was a second.
Okay.
and again, Andrew, is that something that we can do? I mean, that we can.
We can make conditional motions, and it's not far off.
A conditional motion that has a motion that has a condition that's out of our purview.
Yeah, I think what's basically being said is, as long as the landscaping plan is deemed acceptable by the appropriate city staff, they can move forward with this dock permit, and it will be reviewed. And as Tyler mentioned, there's a separate document known as a Declaration of Covenants, which is required prior to the commission meeting, which gets more specific as far as the landscaping details are concerned.
Right.
Is that the
Just
one
don't-
Dunkel is involved in?
Yes.
Just don't want this dock held up because of
How long ago was?
a landscaping issue.
It should not be held up. I'll move it with their.
Okay. Well, then, to come back, we had a motion set by Ed, and I think we had a second from
Kitty.
Kitty. Is that correct?
Yes.
Andrew, do you have that?
Sorry, yes, that's correct.
All right, then why don't we take a quick voice vote on this?
Okay.
We had some discussion.
Tedra, are you on there? Okay, I'll do.
I'm here.
Okay, a voice vote was requested. Thank you.
A voice vote was requested?
A voice vote on item number 7 was requested.
Okay.
And there's no way just to approve the dock and let the city go after them for the landscaping, right? Or, I mean, do we have to even, do we have to say anything about the landscape? Can we just say, let the city go after them for the dock and we approve the?
There should not
That's kind of what we're saying.
Yeah, I don't believe that there'll be any delays associated with this amended motion. I think it'll move forward.
Yeah, because our next applicant has the same plan as well, the same landscaping plan.
And that's the landscaping plan that was provided to me to distribute to applicants representing the Cordova typical landscape plan. and it was deemed acceptable, and it was not an issue until it was brought forward today by a neighbor who sent an email that I distributed to all of you.
So Roseanne Lovell here. So just to, when life is confusing enough and city staff seems to be overloaded, I mean, I am to second Jimmy Harrison's point, is that why would we just allow any possibility that this homeowner could be delayed by putting in the landscaping when it's not our purview to do so?
I can withdraw the motion if you want to make one without it, and we'll vote on that one.
Yeah, I think if I were the homeowner, I'd appreciate that.
I
Or
agree.
I'll amend my motion to approve. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I agree with that just because I don't want to delay it over
Yeah,
a couple
okay.
shrubs.
I'll amend the motion to just approve.
I'll second that emotion.
Can you confirm who was the second again, please?
Chris Rotella.
Am I going forward with a voice vote?
Please,
Chairman Henderson,
approve.
Ed Strobel,
Approve.
Christopher Rotella,
Approve.
Steve Witten,
Approved.
Richard Graves, Bob Dennison,
Approved.
Noel Novell,
Approved.
Roseanne Lovell,
Approved.
Ted Morley,
Approve.
Barry Flanagan, Norbert McLaughlin,
Approved.
James Harrison.
Approved.
And
Also, please, if you don't mind making sure that I'm on the docket that being present, this is Kitty McGowan, and I would approve as well.
thank you.
Gotcha, Kitty.
And just to confirm, Robin Chiarelli is absent.
Correct.
Okay, all in favor.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Appreciate it.
All right. I don't think you need to go anywhere.
No.
All right, let's move on to item number 8, dock permit, 1532 Ponce de Leon, Jeffrey Cantor, and Myrna Roberts, and we have Jenna from the Chappelle Group once again. Take it away.
Yes, thank you, Board. I'm presenting another dock permit application for the private use of public property abutting waterways on behalf of the applicants Jeffrey Cantor and Myrna Roberts at 1532 Ponce de Leon Drive. This property is also located along Rio Cordova, just north of the last property, and just south of the New River. Their property is located on the west side of Cordova Road, and the new seawall was installed along the east side of Cordova Road. And here's an aerial or a photograph from the northern portion of the property facing south, and a picture from the southern portion of the property facing north. As you can see, the new seawall cap. Here's a view of the eastern portion of the property facing west. You can see the new sheet pile wall that was installed. And another aerial view facing north. And then the same one from facing west. And here's an aerial view from 2018 showing the seawall that was there about 3 years ago before the new seawall was installed. And here's another aerial photograph from the west side of the property. Here is Exhibit A, depicting the 75 linear foot sheet pile wall with this concrete hatch right here. The public swale area is on the west side, Cordova Road, and then the property is even further west. And then depicting the dock area at about 65 linear feet wide due to it being zoned RS8 and requires a 5-foot side yard setback. Here is the same conditions, the existing conditions with the seawall. And so the applicants are proposing to install a wood dock, a 65 long dock that's 7 feet wide for a total of 455 square feet, and install a cantilever platform off of that fixed dock so that they can go down the ramp to a floating dock that is 30 by 8 feet wide. And then to access the seawall and dock, they are proposing a platform and ramp along the public swale area as well. Here's a cross-sectional view with the existing conditions on the left side of the sheet, showing just the new sheet pile wall that was installed. And then on the right side are the proposed conditions with the 7-foot wide wood dock and then a 5-foot wide cantilever platform. And here's another cross-sectional view depicting the floating dock off of the new proposed wood dock. These structures will also not exceed 30% the width of the waterway, and the applicant requests to enjoy and utilize the waterfront access along Cordova Road, as many others within this neighborhood. This was also the landscaping plan submitted with the application. The Army Corps has issued an environmental resource permit for these docks, and the county application is also under review for the Broward County Environmental Protection and Growth Management Department, who will also issue a permit on behalf of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. And here are the other existing private use docks within the vicinity of the proposed project that there is a record of. And thank you again for your time, and I'll take any questions.
And thank you. Andrew, to be clear, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the same email on the landscaping thing applied to the previous one. It did not, or did it apply to both, this one as well?
It was specific to the previous one, as I recall. It was specific to 805.
It was not
address.
specific to 1532 Ponce.
Correct.
Okay.
I have a copy of the email here, and it was specific to 805.
Good. Make our discussion. Go ahead.
Just at one point, Dr. Cantor is my spine doctor, but I want to see him once, so.
Does the applicant have letters from the neighbors approving the dock?
No. I'm not sure if they reached out to them or not, but we do not have any letters of support.
I don't believe we need to have letters as it's not a waiver request, correct, Andrew?
That's correct. There is no requirement for letters of support for dock permits, nor is it required for dock waivers. However, it's a good thing to have for dock waivers in particular. Dock permits are agreements with the city, so they're a little different.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. Thanks, Ted. Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, I just had one quick. Yeah, and just on that, the 1516 already came before you, and they are doing something similar. The neighbor 2 doors down, and I will tell you, most of the neighbors along the roadway are, in favor of this type of scenario, and most of them are, if they haven't applied, are planning on applying for something similar to have some form of waterfront access on Cordova Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I remember, they pretty much all had waterfront access before they decided. So I can imagine they're going to want to recreate that. Norbert, did you have a question? Norbert?
No.
Yeah, no. Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments from the board before we move it over to the public? Okay, over to the public it goes. Any questions or comments from the public? Okay. We're back to the board.
Chair Ted Burley, make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay.
Steve Whitten, I'll approve.
Yeah, I think that was Jimmy for a second. Okay. Yeah, why don't we just do another voice vote, just to make sure we're all clear? If you don't mind doing that.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes, thank you.
Ed Strobel. Ed Strobel,
Sorry, approve?
Chris Rotella,
Approve.
Steve Witten,
Approved.
Richard Graves,
Approved.
Bob Dennison,
Approved.
Noel Norvell,
Approved.
Ted Morley,
Approve.
Roseanne Lovell,
Approved.
Kitty McGowan,
Approved.
Barry Flanagan, Norbert McLaughlin,
Approved.
James Harrison.
Approved.
Motion passes.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
board.
board.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great. Okay, we're moving along. Let's move on to item number 9, old business / new business. Anybody want to talk about anything?
I would like to bring something up.
Go ahead, Chris.
So my reason for getting on to this board, I'm born and raised in the city of Fort Lauderdale, and my goal would be to clean our waterways and to focus on making more of an effort to clean our waterways. Start hearing some presentations from. I had the privilege of being at a few very small private events with Phil Purcell over the last few days of the boat show, and had the privilege of meeting some really awesome scientists and veterinarians and the team that was doing the thing in the Himmershey Canal. And so I would love to figure out a way. I don't mind putting all my time and energy to start a program or something for the city of Fort Lauderdale. I see on our little goal number 3 here is water quality. I talked to them about a lot of different things on what we could do. I think we could be a model for the planet. We are the Venice of America. We have the most waterways by mile of any city in the world. And between like oyster farming and mangroves and the system that they created in the Himmershey and a bunch of different other technologies, I think it would create a ton of, one, it's a safety thing. You know, we're seeing more and more people in the water, whether it's a paddleboard, a jet-powered one, a kayak, whatever, and the water is disgusting. We had like 298 gallons of sewer or something like that into the water. So from that point, it is a safety concern for the animals that are in the water, but also for the humans that are now thinking that it's clean, especially people that come and visit and do the legal jet skis that are getting splashed with the water. It's pretty gross. And so that would be my goal. So if there's any way that I can get involved with that, I would love, you know, my goal would be for my kids to be able to fish off of our dock and bring the fish right inside, and we fillet it up and eat it. And so whatever I can do to make that be my kind of legacy for sitting on the board and being in Fort Lauderdale, let me know. So.
Yeah, and Andrew, after this meeting, I'm happy to reach out to John Lose. He's my neighbor, and I got him to those meetings. I did speak with him, and I spoke with you also about getting him to do a presentation for our board. He wants to do that. I think it would be great for us. There wouldn't really be any motions or anything, but I think everyone should know about what he's doing and what the city's doing already with him as far as in water cleanup. So Andrew, I'll hook you up with John Lose this week or after this meeting.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
I think any initiative anybody takes on this or any presentations they bring to this board, I think everybody would welcome it.
Yeah, he was one of the people that I spent time with at the show. I spent like 4 or 5 hours at his booth and was trying to just understand it as much as possible. Spent some time with one of the scientists, Dr. Charlie Gregory, and I went up to his Reef Institute up in West Palm Beach, and they're doing some pretty incredible things. And I think we could tie in Birch State Park and do an artificial reef off of our beach and really be an example of what this could be. I mean, there's so much potential for our city, and I think that there's a lot of value if you could. It's literally is my childhood dream to do this for the city, and I've always known that there's a ton of money that comes with it. I mean, if you could increase the property values in the city by 1%, the amount of tax dollars that would generate would be like insane. So let me know what I can do to help.
Thank you, Chris, for taking that initiative. Appreciate that. Okay, let's move on. Any other old or new business that anyone would like to speak about?
I understand there was, and I'm sorry, I may have, I had some technology problems earlier with the letter from Barry Flanagan. Did I miss that?
No, we did not talk about any letter from Barry.
I distributed a letter
Yeah.
to the board, but I don't believe there's an update at this point.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else?
You know, with with that in mind, one of the things that was recommended at that time, any changes when a developer brings something before our board, if they make a change of more than 10%, they're supposed to bring it back to the board. Now, they haven't done that on, the Icon hasn't done that, and neither have they done that on the Las Olas Marina. In other words, they just present something to us for approval, and then they go and they make a change. And then at that point, I said they go and they get it permitted and everything else. And basically, we made that stipulation years ago, and I think Barry will back me up, that any change was supposed to come back before this board, and that hasn't been done. One of the things was that rail that was supposed to be put on over there at the Icon. That was part of the deal that they crossed their fingers and promised to do, and wound up not doing. And now I understand that they're trying to do away with that, something that they actually promised. But that should have been brought back before this board when they decided to go for a permit without the rail, and it should have come back before the board, and it wasn't.
Gotcha. Okay. Any further discussion on that?
That,
No, I was just saying that I don't know why that these things are not being brought back before the board for another shot at it. In other words, probably when they got their permission, there would be no docking. There wouldn't be any. There would be a rail on there. As a matter of fact, at that particular time, we were concerned for a safety deal because when they have a boat parade and stuff, and they load that up with a lot of people and stuff over there, that some youngster or something like wouldn't be forced and pushed into the water. And so it was agreed to, or they agreed, the Icon, when they pushed it out, that they were going to put a handrail on there for safety reasons and everything else. And I feel that if they made that change and they made that permit, and I happened to see the actual building permits for that, and the handrail was not on it. So it should have been brought back before this board in order to get another approval on that situation. And also the same thing with a lot of you people noticed that the Las Olas Marina, they added buildings, they changed some things and stuff around. That's not what we originally seen. So I don't know why, and I guess I have to leave it at that. I don't know why these things are not being brought back when they were supposed to be brought back to reevaluate their new way of building something.
But does that have to do with the land side? We're the marine end of it. So if they change something on the land side, do we get involved in that?
Isn't a walkway and a dock a part of ours? It's a walkway. It's a walkway out over the water. It's not a dock, and that's, you know, they brought up an interesting point because we told them we didn't want the word dock to even be brought in there, that it should have been a walkway. But the original proposal that the Icon did was on their property. That was the original one, and I said I actually have the proposal that they put on there was on there. Then they decided to get a permit to move a walkway out into the water, and for that reason to go around the Stranahan house, something on that order, right?
I don't disagree with you about that. I mean,
Okay, but
it has to do with the water.
But and I mean, there's piling underneath of it. There's the walkway has you know, it'd be like the same thing as a bridge or anything else. I said we have jurisdiction over that, mainly because it has to do with navigation, it has to do with safety, and it has to do with our environmental. All three of those things. And one of the things that was a concern was the navigation because of the towboats and stuff, and the Jungle Queen has to lay over on that side. So that was one, and then the safety factor of somebody falling off of that walkway, being it's out on the water, and both sides are exposed to the water. that there should be a rail on it.
I don't disagree with you.
Can you turn up your mic, Andrew, or speak into it? Because we can't hear you.
Richard, you got to speak into your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. How do I turn this thing on?
We still can't hear you.
Into the microphone.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I understand with the icon. That's something. But when you get on to the Las Olas Marina, if they make a change to the restaurant and the design of the restaurant, I don't think it has any effect on the Marine Advisory Board. I think we're only liable or to be people that talk about what's on the water side. But the icon I agree with. I mean, that is water side because it's to protect people from falling in the water.
Right. Okay. Any other comments, questions, new business, old business? Okay, if not, do we have a motion to make for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Eddie.
All those opposed, stay.
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor, sign off. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Take